something wrong or injustice, they're trying to build a trend and they need publicity, so we are helping them out by doing this. Somebody might say, oh, we want to raise awareness of this. The problem with a social movement or any kind of, as I said, trend, if it's on the rise, the more you publicize it, you strengthen it, even if it's negative. So when you raise awareness of it, you're giving them publicity. That's it. So this concept of, bringing things to the, or raising awareness of injustices, that doesn't work all the time like this. So we have to be careful. Anyway, so Imam Shafi'i, as I said, stayed with Imam Malik until Imam Malik passed away, and he learnt a lot. He learnt a lot from Al-Imam Malik rahimahullah ta'ala. Imam Shafi'i was very well known for his intelligence, high level of intelligence. In one of his trips from Mecca to Medina, and it took a few days, so he went with this caravan, he joined this caravan, and they went on. He didn't speak to anyone. And they were discussing just stories and, public affairs and so on and so forth. When they reached Medina, they told him, you haven't exchanged words with us. You haven't had any conversation with us. He said, you guys were talking about so many things, but during this journey, I recited the Qur'an 9 times. On my horse. I recited the Qur'an 9 times. So Imam Shafi'i was very studious. And there is something about him, which, as we said, like the best thing is always to keep with the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, where the Prophet ﷺ said no one should recite, or anyone who recites the Qur'an in less than 3 days would not be able to comprehend it. Okay? But there are, as I said, sometimes exceptions, but generally speaking for us, it's always better to keep with the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, the recommendation of the Prophet ﷺ here. Imam Shafi'i, in Ramadan, would recite the Qur'an 60 times during Ramadan. Almost every Ramadan. That means twice a day. He would recite the Qur'an. Imam Shafi'i was known for his beautiful voice in public speaking and in Qur'an recitation. So when Imam Shafi'i spoke, people would listen. People would love the intonation of his voice, how he spoke, the pauses, the speed of his voice, the mastery of his sound, and of the letters, of the pronunciation. So he was like a master in terms of public speaking, and also in reciting Qur'an. So Imam Shafi'i sometimes would be in the masjid and he would be reciting Qur'an. People would actually come specifically to the masjid to sit with Imam Shafi'i and listen to his recitation. And when he recited, people would be in tears. So there's one person called Bahr ibn Sakhr. He says, I'm going to read his quote in Arabic, then translate it. كُنَّا إِذَا أَرَدْنَا أَن نَبْكِيَ قَالَ بَعْضُنَا لِبَعْضٍ قُومُوا إِلَى هَذَا الْفَتَى الْمُطَّلِبِيِّ يَقْرَأُ الْقُرْآنِ. If we felt we needed to cry or weep, okay, we would say to one another, let's go to this young man. Imam Shafi'i was still young when he recites Qur'an. فَإِذَا أَتَيْنَاهُ اسْتَفْتَحَ الْقُرْآنِ. So when we come to him, he would start reciting Qur'an. حَتَّى يَتَسَاقَطَ النَّاسِ, and to the point where people start losing consciousness out of being completely taken by the beauty of his recitation. وَيَكْثُرَ عَجِيجُهُمْ بِالْبُكَاءِ, and people would be weeping so loudly. مِنْ حُسْنِ صَوْتِهِ فَإِذَا رَأَى ذَلِكَ أَمْسَكَ عَنْ الْقِرَاءَةِ. So people, because of the beauty of his voice, beauty of his recitation, people would be crying and would be weeping so loud around him. When he sees this, he would stop reciting. He would conclude his recitation. وقال أحمد بن صالح كان الشافعي إذا تكلم كأن صوته صنج أو جرس. Basically, من حسن صوته. He says, Shafi'i, if he spoke, that's speaking, okay, not recitation. He says his speaking style was like music. It was so mesmerizing and so beautiful. Subhanallah. Imam Shafi'i, as we said, wasn't rich. Most of his life he was poor. Even towards the end of his life, he says to one of his friends, he says, "Wallahi laqad aliftu al-faqra. لقد ألفت الفقر وأحببته." He says, I got so much used to poverty and lack, and I love it. And I just love it and enjoy it. That's Imam al-Shafi'i. Whereas we know that Imam Malik was extremely rich, and he enjoyed that richness. And Imam Abu Hanifa was also very rich. But Imam al-Shafi'i sometimes would dress the best clothes. Although he was poor, but like when he had some change, he would buy the best clothes. So he would wear good clothes. And he used to, the imama that he used to wear was very big. So it would go around his head so many times. So it was big. That was more like the Bedouins. Like people in the cities at the time, they had small imama. Small imama would be something like this, by the way. This is also in Arabic called imama. From يَعُمُّ الرَّأْسَ. Imama, it covers the head and the ears. That's what imama means in Arabic, okay? So imama has so many shapes. That's one shape. Some people say, oh, this was not among the Arabs. No. Having a piece of cloth, putting it over the head was also called imama, by the way. So that's imama. And the most famous shape is basically to get a qalansuwa, which is a hat like this, and then get a piece of cloth like this and tie it around. That's the famous shape. So Imam Shafi'i would do this, but it was so big. His Imam was so big, just like the Bedouins. Something about the Arabic language. The scholars of the Arabic language would not take pronunciation or versions of words from the people in the city. They would not. So even like some of the main scholars in the Arabic language, they said, until the year 200 after Hijrah, we can take from the Arabs of the cities, the main cities. After that, they lost their Arabic language, their proper Arabic language. So it became contaminated, completely contaminated. Something outside of the subject. Outside. Anyone knows the first mistake that happened in the Arabic language, grammatical mistake that took place among the Arabs? And then it became common. This mistake became common, and then after that there were more mistakes. But that's the first mistake documented to become widespread. Anyone knows? Anyone knows? Like those who study grammar and the history of grammar, they must come across this. The first mistake that was made grammatically in the Arabic language, and it became widespread. Okay, I'm going to give you the mistake. Oh no, actually I'm going to give you the mistake, and you should give me the right version. The first mistake that appeared was هذه عصاتي. What is the correct version? هذه عصاتي. This is my stick or my rod. هذه عصايا. Yes, عصايا, not عصاتي. هذه عصايا. So that's the first documented mistake that became widespread. هذه عصاتي. Wrong. هذه عصايا. As Musa alayhi salam قال هي عصايا. هي عصايا. Okay. Imam al-Shafi'i had two sons. He had two sons. Some say he had more, but he had two main sons. One of them became a scholar. But not very well known as his father. One of the grandsons of Imam al-Shafi'i became a very well known scholar, by the way. And his name was Ahmad ibn Abdullah. And people used to call him Ibn Bint al-Shafi'i, the son of the daughter of al-Shafi'i. That was his main nickname. So we said Imam al-Shafi'i, mashallah, excelled in so many things. And by the way, something people don't know about Imam al-Shafi'i. Imam al-Shafi'i studied medicine. People don't know about this. he didn't complete his studies in medicine. He pulled out of school, but he studied medicine. He studied medicine. And in At-Tibb al-Nabawi, you find the books of At-Tibb al-Nabawi, they actually have some prescriptions from an Imam al-Shafi'i. From an Imam al-Shafi'i. And this is something Imam al-Shafi'i was very careful about. He actually said, like he blamed the Arabs for not taking care of medicine. Imam al-Shafi'i said, Al-ilmu ilman. Knowledge is two things. Knowledge of the deen, that's for the heart. علم الأديان هذا للقلوب وعلم الطب وهذا للأبدان. And knowledge of medicine, and that's for the body. He says that's what people need. Knowledge for the heart, knowledge for the body. Then he says, I don't know why we Muslims have left knowledge of medicine for the people of the scripture. He said we shouldn't do this. He said we should take up this knowledge and study it. So there should be people who would study this knowledge. Imam al-Shafi'i was very well known about as well firasa, which is a sense of intuition through which he knows so many secrets about you. So many secrets about you. And the Prophet ﷺ says in the authentic hadith, اتقوا فراسة المؤمن. Beware of the firasa, the insight of the believer, where he can see through you. Okay? So some of these stories, funny stories about Imam al-Shafi'i. Imam al-Shafi'i, by the way, in his late 20s, he himself became the governor of Yemen. So he got into politics. Imam al-Shafi'i got into governance. He became the wali of al-Yemen. He became the wali of al-Yemen in his late 20s, early 30s. He became the wali, the governor of al-Yemen. And he governed Yemen. So he was in public administration. He was in governance. But something happened to him, and we will come to this to talk about it. But Imam al-Shafi'i went so many times to Yemen. One of his trips to Yemen was to study al-firasa, this sense of intuition. Okay? Because it was also taught as well. So there were people who documented their knowledge about how they could tell and see through people. They documented this. So it was written as Kutub al-Firasa. So he went to Yemen because that was the only place where there were books there. And he learned some of those books. So on the way back, from Yemen to Mecca, he comes across this house. He wants to rest and was to spend the night there. So he says, I came out of Yemen back. Then on the way back, I came across this house where there was this man. And he gives a description. Now, I don't want to give this description, okay, because I don't want to be labeled as racist. So he gave a certain facial descriptions of a person. So he said, when I saw this man, he matches something that I've learned in the books of Firasa, that this is a man with very bad traits. Very bad traits. But I asked this man, I said, can I spend the night here? The man said, absolutely. The traits about such a person, such a description, actually a person would be miserly, tight-fisted, and he would be mean, and he would show no respect for anyone. So Imam Shafi'i asked him, can I spend the night there? He said yes. So he said, that didn't match the description that I know about him, right? But he said, yes, you can stay in my house. So he said, he prepared for me a very nice bed. He gave me lots of space. I felt welcome, so much hospitality. The man always brought me food. And he also gave me a bottle of perfume. So he said, I've never seen this kind of generosity in my trips. Then, in the morning, he said, I couldn't sleep that night. Because what I've learned about firasa, and about this, how to know people, this man is going against everything. So he said, maybe I wasted my time coming to learn this knowledge. Maybe it's not really true. Subhanallah. So in the morning, Imam Shafi'i was getting himself ready. He got his horse ready with his companion, who was his servant. Then he said, I was setting off. I was going back, going to Mecca. Then I wanted to see that man. I started searching for him because I wanted to say thank you. And at that time, by the way, if you come across an Arab, a Bedouin, anyone on the way there, you come across, they would absolutely invite you and have you as their guest. That would be an honor for them. That was very well known in the Arabian Peninsula. So you come across anyone, you ask for shelter, they say, absolutely, you're my guest. They would be happy to have you as a guest. And they would offer you